So good morning, here we are. This is the first of the Creative Maverick interviews. I'm Claire Westwood, the Seaside CEO, a guide and navigator for Creative Mavericks through their journey. And today I'm talking to the lovely Hazel Evans. Good morning, Hazel.
Good morning.
And we'll just be talking a little bit this morning about the creative journey, how creativity appears in life, how we can support ourselves through creativity and really create a very unusual life around what we love to do. So thank you for being my first interviewee. This is very exciting for me.
You're very welcome.
So first of all, if somebody said, like, you know, to you, what do you do? I mean, what sort of answer do you have for them? How would you describe yourself?
Yeah, I always have a bit of a thing myself on that. How do I describe myself? I've never been able to put myself into a pigeonhole, and recently found myself saying through customs, they asked, you know, what do you do? I said, well, I'm an artist and I'm a project manager, and that I think is probably the most in the normal world easy to capture concept of what I do.
They're words that make sense to ordinary people.
yeah, exactly. But what I feel I actually really do is, I feel like I'm an alchemist of two different parts of me, which is, one is the artist and creator, and the other is the spiritual soul, and myself as priestess, and bringing those together. And what does that mean? Because it means working with creation, but also working with the body, mind, and the soul, and our physicality here on Earth. So, what does that mean when they come together?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I feel.
That mean? I mean, to you, like, how does that marry together? How does that look like for you? I know there's a variety of different ways, but
well, through my art practice, I'm multimedia, but I work through, I suppose I'm telling a story in everything that I'm doing, and even when I'm holding workshops with women, it's telling a story, or it's taking women on a journey into themselves. So all of it has to do with our inner and outer landscapes, and how they interact with each other, and how I can facilitate that as an artist, and also as a priestess, and as a holder of sacred space. So yeah.
And when you work with people, you know, do you do one-to-one as well as group sort of work? How, you know, what sort of issues do people have with expressing themselves or their spirit or their creativity, and how do you see that sort of alchemy, if you like? How does that sort of show itself?
Yeah, well, I realised quite a number of years ago, there's so many people like, oh, I can't draw, and when I first started doing workshops through my art, and so many people were like, I can't draw. I was like, this is just ridiculous. Everybody can draw, everybody can perform, everybody can write. And I realised through my own creative process of tapping into that, it really is about tapping into that pure place of creativity within yourself, and bringing it out. So when I'm working with people, whether it's about actually being creative and creating, physically creating artwork or performance or something, or whether it is about tapping into the body and finding that creative spark of life, which is the same spark that makes us want to create anything in life, that's what I'm really interested in tapping into, and that's what I work with people with. And always in all of my work, whether it's through just creating art or performance or music, or whether it is more based on body work and personal development, I always include that, because it's all the same thing as far as I'm concerned. It's about tapping into that essence of our soul and expressing, creating, being from that place. And so all of my work invites people into feeling what that space means for them,
Yeah.
And then from that place, we then move into creation together.
Yeah, because I think there's so much, because I work with a lot of people who are creatives and artists, and even though they now do it kind of professionally or as part of their role, there's a lot of them were criticized when they were younger, or, you know, there's this very comparative thing that goes on in all areas of life. You know, are we A-star students? Are we good enough artists? Can we sing as well as, you know, the next person? And so it's all that kind of competitive comparison that can just put the brakes on our creativity, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I found that a lot growing up. I've suffered a lot with that. I'm not good enough. My voice is not good enough. I can't draw good enough. I can't perform good enough. And that whole I'm not good enough thing. And there's been many steps and processes for me to overcome that and just put myself out there. And what I found really interesting in this journey is connecting that with the body. So physically working with the body in that same process, and understanding that it's not just about forgetting it, just get on with it and put yourself out there. It's so much deeper and more profound than that. And as I've been working on the energetics of my body and the process of self-love, actually, which is the core of it all, my attitude towards my voice changes, and I'm able to sing in tune and with confidence. My attitude towards performing, and if I'm nervous before performance, I've noticed how that has changed so much over the last 10 years, to being anxious about not being good enough, to I feel really free just to go out there and perform, and to be in my creative flow and let whatever comes come through, and really that's okay. So yeah, being in that place of self-acceptance and accepting myself, accepting my gifts, accepting the fact that I don't fit into any particular boxes, and being my creation, from that space, and along the process, showing myself love, you know, and I'm feeling anxiety about having shown myself in any form of art or workshop or whatever it is, coming back to that space of it's okay, I can do this. I show myself compassion, and I don't need to be anxious. I don't need to think that I'm not good enough. I just need to keep coming back to that source, and then moving again from there.
Yeah. So kind of tapping into your center and knowing that that's actually where it all comes from. And trusting that process. And as you were talking, you know, it came to me that and as a coach, this is something that I guide my clients through, but it's like your life then becomes your creation. You know, we're not at the mercy of decisions that are made outside of ourselves. It's like, it's not just what project do I want to do next, or what work of art do I want to create next, or what workshop am I going to create. It's like I'm creating my whole life as I go along and seeing it unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as you're describing this, is when I look back at my process over the last 6 years, for example, of creating, 10 years ago, I had 12 years ago now, I had a massive life change and a breakdown, and I found it so hard to find myself in life, and what is my purpose in this life, you know, knowing that I have this creative gold inside of me that I'm so scared to show, but I'm dying if I don't, in a way. And I remember one morning I was just like, I woke up in my bed and I was lying staring at the ceiling and like desperately in search of my purpose. And then this question came to me: what do I need to do if I was to die today? What would I regret not doing? And just letting the answer come through, and that was showing my art, showing what I can do as a creative being. And then I started responding to different, I was just like, okay, this is it, I've just got to go for it. And then just mindlessly, I suppose, because it was just following from pure soul or energy, responding to an exhibition opening, and then from that being offered to be work as a resident artist at Lighthouse Centre for the Arts, and that's evolved into a series of exhibitions that I did with them. And where I noticed now looking back at that, I was just literally like churning out what was inside of me. I wasn't thinking about it. I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Okay, yeah, let's draw the Warmer Symphony Orchestra. So I started going in and drawing with them and moving and finding what was that. It's like, okay, then I started a project where I was doing a piece of art and the writing once a week, and literally not thinking about it. It's like, okay, what do I do now? Make it, draw it, let it come out. And after 6 months of doing this, I looked at all of my work, and Lighthouse has offered me an exhibition to do. I was like, oh my goodness, okay, this has got to go into the exhibition. How do I do it? And I was like, okay, I'm just taking these pieces along with the journey and creating this thing. And before I knew it, I'd created this whole world, interactive world of like 7 different collaborations with a musician and performer and somebody who transformed a wardrobe into an art studio for me, a student, and then that became like an award-winning wardrobe, which was brilliant. And then I created a whole forest out of paper, and then I worked with an illustrator, and we painted into the forest, and a silk weaver as well. And it's just like this like insane yes to myself, like this creative like outpouring came.
Yeah.
But also I noticed like when about an hour before people were supposed to arrive, there's like 200 people arrived at the opening that evening, and I was in the gallery on my own, and I realized that was when I stopped for like the first time, and I looked around and I was like, oh my god, my soul is on these walls, like everything, and all of that journey and all of that soul searching and all of that like who am I, all of that stuff, just like I would say, it's like a sort of creative sicking up, you know. Like, and I was like, oh my goodness, I hope nobody notices. But obviously, you know, when people experience something, they all experience it according to what they need, you know?
Yeah.
So that was okay, but I was super nervous. I was like, wow, this is like really exposed myself. And this piece of work has gone on to be, it's still a continuing piece of work that's also developing. It's part of my life work actually, which is now taking on a new, we're working on taking it to a new level at the moment as well. So it's just responding to that soul inside and just going, yeah, I'm just going to go for it.
That sounds beautiful, because you know what you've described is literally kind of following the breadcrumbs, you know, following just the next thing and the next thing, and showing up fully in whatever way that looks in the moment, and just seeing who's attracted to you and seeing what happens, and you know, not having a great 5-year plan for kind of where we're going, and just allowing that process to happen. And I think, you know, the last piece that you said about, you know, seeing your soul on the walls, and I work with people who are you know, write blogs and write books and create art, and it's always like there's always that nervous part about, you know, this comes from such a deep part of me, it's really vulnerable, kind of delicate thing to do, but actually the world is crying out for more of that. You know, we see so much fakery around. It's like there's a real calling, like we've just talked about before the interview, about people connecting with each other and people not seeing the differences but seeing the similarities. And the more we show up fully as ourselves and what's going on in our heart and soul, the more that we can attract and resonate with the people that are really looking for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why I've always found it challenging in a way to, like, if I'm making something and somebody goes, oh, that's a great painting, yeah, make 10 of them. Like, I can't do that.
This is it, mate. I've done it.
Yeah.
Come out.
Like, oh, yeah.
Out. Come out twice.
Yeah, and part of my journey is accepting that my process is really my life. My art is really my life, and it keeps showing me what it is along the way, and it's a super interesting journey, and putting myself into my art and allowing myself to be my art, and then also deciding how much of myself do I show myself, or not at different stages that I'm in, because it is so personal and it is so connected. But then I think that is exactly why people can connect with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, it's an ongoing process, and that's something that that runs through all of my work actually, is how do I share that with people? How do people become part of the art as well?
Yeah.
And either guiding them through a process to tap into themselves with that, or through my art, letting people have a piece of it so they are also part of it.
Yeah.
Like 18 months ago, I went on the Santiago pilgrimage, and I decided to do it as an art project. And I'm actually still writing the book at the moment. It's taking me a bit longer than I thought it would, but I call it 40 pages of pilgrimage, and every day I drew a picture and did some writing, and all of the pages were for sale, and they all sold pretty much before I started the pilgrimage. So I had like 40 pilgrims who were coming along with me on the journey, and they bought a blank page and they didn't know what they would get.
Mm-hmm.
And so then this has become an illustrated journey of my 40 days, and showing the inner workings of what goes on within myself on my voyage of discovery of myself, really, because that's what a pilgrimage is.
Yeah.
So then all of that book got I filmed it as I cut it all up, and that everybody received certificates, and so all of those pieces then went out into the world. So then that art becomes it's not for me, it's about connection, it's about helping people be part of the art in a way, and be part of that experience. And that's what I love creating in all of my projects, is process-led creation.
Yeah.
For people to engage and to be part of.
Yeah, and I love that. I know other people that do that. They go traveling and they say you can buy a hand-drawn postcard, and I'll paint you something and stick it in the post, and posting works of art around the world and things, which I think is really lovely. And there's another piece, where you talk about sort of, just creating and almost like trusting the process. Like, well, I trust that I'm going to create these 40 pieces of art and people will buy them, and then I'll do the next piece. So not actually knowing what the art is, but knowing what the process is, which is a lovely thing. And also, I had this conversation with somebody the other day about, because I draw these sort of colourful word things, and I do a lot of my notes in mind maps and beautiful colours with my pens and stuff, all surrounded with my colours. And she's like, I don't know how because I said when I'm done with them, I just recycle them. And, because I'm not surrounded by clutter, I keep everything quite free. And she was sort of, well, I don't know how you get rid of them. And I said, but there's no end to it. I don't think, I'm never going to dry up. It's kind of keeping the flow going as well. And I think there's something about like creating and letting it go, which just means that we're trusting that we're never going to run out of ideas. Like we're never going to run out of things to create.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, it really is literally like having that source, that spring within inside of you, that eternal elixir of life within inside of you, and just letting it flow out. And oh gosh, I feel that in my heart actually when I'm talking, just letting it flow through your body, and just I realized quite a few years ago that my art wasn't about me. That first of all, I thought it was, because I need to do this for, because I need to be seen, or I need to be recognized, or whatever it is. But that really soon became very evident that it really was nothing to do with me. And then that also creates a lot of freedom and a lot of it's just a channel. It's just a channel of energy. It's
like you're a conduit for it to come through. And I think we had this conversation in one of my groups about seeing people doing their genius, whatever that is. And one of my friends posted something about, an ice skater doing his thing. And honestly, it was, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. It was so beautiful to watch. And, see people doing sports, or you see people creating, and it's like they get into the flow and they get into this kind of otherworldly state. And it's just not even about them anymore. I mean, half the time, if you're creating, or when I'm doing kind of impro or music or various other things, and I just, after a while, I go, I don't think I'm even involved anymore in this whole process. Like, or you sort of come out of it later going, what was that, you know? And that kind of, that whole muse thing is really beautiful, and kind of trusting that that process doesn't come to an end. It's like, it's about playing with it. And as you were sort of talking about it and sort of feeling it, it's like, it just feels really playful as well. Because I think there's a lot of stuff when we come back to, you know, at the beginning, talking about people not feeling good enough or being criticized because their art wasn't right. You know, I wasn't allowed to do art O level because I couldn't draw it, things that looked like they were the things that I was trying to draw. And the whole thing is, it's supposed to be like playful. You know, creativity is play. We're playing with ourselves, we're playing with our spirit, we're playing with, whether it's pens or paper or art or music or, you know, life generally. It's supposed to have that kind of playful energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when it doesn't, when it starts becoming something else, when it becomes more of a doing and a have to do, then the energy of the work and the quality of the work shifts.
Yeah.
And I really notice that significantly when I'm creating work from that space. Nobody's interested in it. and therefore it's like, because it doesn't have that connection.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's not good enough, it's just that it's not in that same energy flow. It's not in that high vibration of of coming from the soul space and the space of pure creativity, and it's very different. And sometimes I've been playing with that. So recently, when I've been doing a few paintings or creating a few things, in that I think that I'm in the right space to do it, and I'm I'm going to create this. It's going to be like this, and I think that I'm in the right space to do it, but then the energy just drops, and I know, and my body is not responding in the flow, and then I start thinking about what I'm trying to create.
Yeah.
And that's also a very interesting process to observe that, because that's really when I need to stop and go, this is not working. This is obviously not the right time to be creative right now.
Yeah.
And I'm learning how to honor that process more as well. And obviously, you know, as a woman, that sits inside my moon cycle as a woman as well. So, you know, honoring when I have the creative times and when are the best times to do things.
Yeah.
So, and moving from trying to do and create from that mind perspective, recognizing when that is, stopping it, and then going back into creation, doing whatever you need to do to come back into that creation from the body and the soul.
Yeah, in that really authentic space.
Yeah.
And
that's why
on my list to do it today, therefore.
yeah, exactly. And that's why I find that's where I love the priestess work, because that complements. It works with the body. Well, I'm a priestess of love and sacred sexuality, so for me it's about body work and love, which is obviously in sexuality, but also in our relationship with ourselves on a daily basis. So bringing that body work into how I create, and like I said earlier, and tapping into, you know, starting with movement or listening to a song or meditation, or really getting into the body before we go anywhere else, really.
Yeah.
And it makes such a difference.
Okay, lovely. And that brings us beautifully into the next point, which is just, you know, talking about sort of what you do currently in the projects you're currently involved in, both the ones that you're doing in the community and also, you know, your own personal business projects, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, so what's the best one to start with? Well, I suppose as more of a pure art and performance project, with my theatre company, Valleys Noir, we're doing, we've got heritage lottery funding and cultural funding to produce a show called Cargo, which is about maritime life in Poole, but also the world, and how the water, how the life of the water has been used to transport goods and people throughout the world, and how that has evolved over the last 125,000 years. So it's very much a research and heritage project, but through that we are looking at ways of engaging people and sharing the heritage in a really creative way. So using contemporary movement, and we're creating a soundtrack that we're then going to create movement to, and there's also visual arts in there, kind of creating artifacts and light boxes that are all going to be part of this special cargo, which holds all of the wisdom of the ocean, essentially. So, we're going to be bringing in a big ship into Poole Quay with all the performers on, and then performing as part of the Poole Maritime Festival and the European Maritime Festival Day. Okay. So that's really exciting, and what I'm also really interested in, how that connects to my other work, not only being art, but also the theme of the water, and bringing in that essence of the feminine essence of the water, the goddesses of the water, and why we need to respect the waters and the environmental issues of that. So weaving all of that into creating something very beautiful for a large audience to engage with. So that's with my theatre company that we're doing currently developing that, and that's going to be performed in May. And then my other work, I've got quite a few projects on at the moment. My other work that I'm launching at the moment, most of the workshops are in Holland at the moment, because I do some of the work over there as well, is the work with women. So I'm starting to do, or I was thinking about, I've done lots of shadow work and lots of going in there, and now it really feels like this year is like the year to shine, and like fully own ourselves and fully come into the pure potential of ourselves. So I'm starting off with workshops for women, purely about tapping into the essence of your shine, because from that place of shine you can create anything, and you can recreate yourself. So I'm doing creative workshops with women for to feel awesome about themselves, basically, and using lots of different methods to come into that. There's performance that comes into it, there's art that comes into it. I'm launching a new course called Break Free from Your Fat Suit, which is about owning your and loving your body, how it is.
I love those pictures. They're so brilliant.
Yeah, so because I've as part of my creative journey, and the exhibition I was talking about before, it really occurred to me then I need to share my journey with women because of where I've come from. And so I really need to share my journey with women. And over the last 5 or 6 years, this is what I've been figuring out. How can I do that?
Yeah.
And it basically comes down to self-love and body love. And so becoming a priestess of love and sacred sexuality has been the pathway into that.
Yeah.
And then through that, what I offer now is I'm not a personal trainer, or I'm not a counsellor or anything like that. But what I offer through this course is all of that, tapping into the body, tapping into the wisdom of ourselves, and the energetics of really feeling ourselves in our body, and how to feel our presence here, how to love ourselves, how to accept ourselves, but not resign and accept, how to accept ourselves fully and go, yes, I'm going to move forward from here.
Yeah.
And using art techniques, using performance techniques and writing and body work and energy work, and putting this into a massive, beautiful pot of creation, which I feel has been my experience and my learning process, and feeling like I'm at a point now where I can share that with other women and help them tap into that shine and that place where they can feel themselves and on their journey of self-love. So that's what Break Free from Your Fat Suit is about. It's about understanding that the fat suit is really a mask that doesn't need to be there anymore, and it's not just the physical weight, because I've fluctuated, and I'm in a process of really realizing that the only way through it is self-love. And it's not about sticking at going to the, I can go to the gym and work at it really hard, but trying to get that willpower again, it's really not about that. It's really about the deep, deep self-love.
Yeah. And
so I'm very passionate about sharing my journey with women and going into it from a different perspective than you would expect. And so
brilliant.
I'm hoping
it kind of ties in with all the themes that you've talked about. So it's about connection, connection to the body, connection to the self, connection to your soul, connection to your feelings, connection to, instead of looking outwardly for all the answers, like it's about the gym, or it's about the diet, or it's about this course, or it's about this program, or it's like, what is it about me that I need to accept, that I need to work through, that I need to release, that I need to grieve over, that I need to, process in order to find, like you say, whatever's the other side, which is acceptance of all of it.
Exactly.
Creating ourselves as something or other, which is the image that we're given, but to go, it's this is me, and this is how I want to show up in the world. And I think that's a really powerful thing.
Exactly. And and I guess I'm at a point now where I feel like I just want to share this. There's so many things that I've learned along the way and through my own experimentation with myself as my own living art project. But and I've probably, from being such a creative person as well, I've for years I've been taking myself off on my own journeys, either like doing my own ceremonies with myself. And this is things that I'm so excited about sharing with other people, like how you can transform your home into a sacred space, how you can be with yourself and take yourself off into a journey. We can do it with shamans, priestesses, and with groups. We can do it like that. We can also do that with ourselves as well. And I'm very passionate about teaching people these methods, or sharing these methods with people that I've discovered through my own creative process, really. And I suppose, how do you get into that stream of consciousness where you can see and listen to what you need and move from that space. So I think that's where my courses come from. It is me kind of opening up and going, okay, what is needed, or like what just show me, and then it's like, oh, okay, this is what's coming through, and this is what I can share, and I move very much from the intuitive place of sharing. So I'm looking forward to welcoming women. I really want to work with more women this year. That's one of my things, sharing. And
fabulous. So the last couple of things, just something that stops people from, I think, being more creative or more experimental in life or creativity is, well, what about the money? How do I support myself through it? So do you want to briefly just say a little bit about, your income streams, or how you make money, or your journey with money, just, through the creative process, and how you see it fits together for you, really?
I mean, it's quite a subject, and I think for me, I realised that because so many times people had said to me, if you're an artist, aren't you going to be poor? So I always thought that I would never be successful if I never earned enough money making art. So I had to get over that, and I actually realised that if I I was actually selling my soul more if I was not going to be creative. And that was worse than worrying about whether I was going to become rich or not.
Yeah.
So first of all, there's that.
So there's already an expectation from people outside of the creative world that, oh my God, you're signing up to be poor.
Yeah. And then just realizing that it's so much more valuable to not even think in that perspective, but how enriching it is on so many different levels that you can't even pay for, to actually respond to what you should be doing and the creativity of your soul. So that was the sort of the part of the departure, is like, you know, getting rid of that fake mindset that doesn't serve us, and then moving into creation, and then finding ways in which you can make money. And one of the ways that I do with my theatre company is we apply for funding. So and that's various different levels of income stream. It's quite it's a sort of medium-sized project, but it's a £40,000 project that we're working on at the moment. So you design a project and you apply for funding and you decide what you want to do, and you just have to be courageous and go out there and do it. And fill out the application forms, learn how to do it, speak to other people who've done it and get advice, and get partners involved, and come up with an awesome project and just make it happen. And sometimes you'll be rejected, and sometimes you'll be successful. So that's one of the income streams. And another one is also just keep putting yourself out there and being in that flow of positivity and creativity, so people get to know you and get to know like what you do, and being engaging with people, and then that, for me personally, that's led to working with schools or working with arts organisations who want me to come in and do career talks for careers or things like that, as well as practical workshops. So there's those, and when you're putting yourself out there, people ask more of you. So then there's commissions that come on top of that, and also commissions for festivals or private commissions. But it really is, there's no steady income. It's kind of like this, and now obviously I'm actually working on some more steady ways of income through creating my books at the moment, and also setting up my courses. So because rather than having the workshops, I want to create a longer program where I can work with people more personally over a longer period of time. And that's mainly because I really want the connection with people, and I want to really take people on a journey. But the side from that is that that's a more stable set of income that comes in from that. So it's really like lots of little threads that all come together into one pot. But it's really got to be you've really got to love what you're doing, and to put that over anything else, and then just keep seeing what comes your way, and realizing that I'm responding to what I need to be doing in my life, and not putting money over the top of that. And also over the last 2 years, I kind of took a 2-year sabbatical out in a way, and we went traveling and lived on very, very little. So it's about, for me as well, it's been a really interesting process in reducing the need for consuming in my life, and that has also helped me come to a purer place within myself, and having less needs, I suppose. So but looking at life for the value in life and what life can offer. So I personally work on yeah, that kind of really, with the simplicity of life. Yeah, see, having lots of different threads of income where they, so, and not being afraid to go for it, really. So, and that's good advice for me at the moment, because I'm launching a few new projects, so I just need to just go for it.
And I think, you know, it's what I teach my clients is, you know, there's no one way to do anything, and it's almost like, you know, there are infinite ways to make money nowadays, online, offline, you know, with groups, with people, with organizations, with, like I say, with funding, with getting people to pay for it themselves, with, you know, it's like there's so many ways that we can monetize our skills, and it's really just getting into that, like you say, into the flow of having value to offer that people are happy to pay money for, in whatever way that makes sense. But that's brilliant. Thank you. So, you know, we'll wrap this up. Thank you so much. It's been a really great conversation about
You're welcome.
Things. And so if people want to find you online or offline, where can they find more information about what you do?
Yeah, so you can look at my artist website, which is www.hazelevans.co.uk. And then my creative alchemy website, and particularly work for women, is priestessofcreation.com. And there you'll find all the current work that I'm launching, my book, which is coming out soon, called I Am Divine. So that's creative journeys for women through meditation and colouring, and then my fat suit course as well. So I'm looking to develop that, so that will be an online thing as well. And so do get in contact with me, and if you have any questions, and or if you would like me to do anything, or even for a one-to-one session, you know. So yeah, it'd be great to hear from people.
Beautiful. So thank you. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for joining me, and
you're welcome.
Stop the recording now. Thanks everybody for watching. And get in touch with Hazel, and you know, let's talk about creativity as something that's never ending, that's infinite, that's soulful, that's divine, that's fun, that's playful, and actually just, you know, take all the pressure off, really. So, thank you, that's brilliant.
Great.
Can you feel